Good evening, I'm Norman Robinson, and welcome to another edition of Affordable Housing Matters. Our Latin community is ever growing in the city of New Orleans, and with that comes a higher demand for affordable housing. Puentes, New Orleans will join us later in the show to tell us about their Mi Casa program and how it's designed to help in that demand. Also, preserving that classic New Orleans architecture is always a positive when building homes in the Crescent City. Harmony Neighborhood Development will tell us how they are accomplishing that goal in Central City. We have a great show for you tonight, so please stay tuned.
Now, I don't know about you, but for me, I really want to know where my food's coming from. You'll find the difference in flavor is quite remarkable.
The leaves are a lot more tender than the stalks and stems.
Absolutely. It's one of the easiest lamb recipes you'll ever try. It's avocado salsa turkey bacon burger.
Make something delicious that you can share with friends and you can enjoy the flavor throughout the entire year.
Saturdays at 5 p.m. on WLAE.
Puentes New Orleans is an organization that supports the inclusion of Latinos in public, political, and socio-economic life. Here to tell us how this is possible is Carolina Hernandez, Executive Director of Puentes New Orleans. Ms. Hernandez, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's so good to see you. Tell me right off the top, what is the biggest obstacle to affordable housing for the Latino community?
I believe one of the biggest obstacles is language access. Many of our Latino community members are bilingually challenged. They maybe know a little bit of English, but not enough to really make good decisions without it being interpreted. And also the other challenge I would say is that a large growing population of Latinos is undocumented in the area now since Katrina.
How much of a challenge is that, and how concerned are you about that being a greater problem with all this discussion and hostility around the subject of illegal immigration?
I think that our undocumented community, because they don't have a mastering of the English language and because they are undocumented, are very vulnerable. We have encountered many cases where families are being defrauded, taken advantage of, and retaliated against because of their undocumented status by people calling immigration again on them. That's the sort of vulnerability that makes it really hard for families to find adequate housing. And then, many times landlords or transactions the documents are in English. And so that also limits your ability to really make wise decisions. You might sign a piece of paper, but you have no idea what you're signing.
So what is Puentes New Orleans doing to help resolve or break down these barriers?
So we do several different things. Among them, we're always advocating about language access to not only government agencies, but we're also trying to let business owners understand that it actually hurts their bottom line when they do not include information in other languages, especially for a growing population that has a huge buying power. Additional to that, through our program, we have a lot of trainings and workshops that we do all in Spanish. We do a lot of fair housing training. For the first time in a long time, the city has someone in New Orleans who's certified by HUD, who's fluently bilingual, and can do fair housing education. And that is our housing program director, Scarlett Garcia.
And this is something that the city has been open to, they have embraced?
So I will say that at our very first board meeting of this year, one of our founding board members at the end of the board meeting wanted to read an article from the Times-Picayune. He read this article and it was about language access, and it was about how community leaders are trying to work with the city government and City Hall to create some language access at City Hall. And then when he finished reading the article, he said, this is an article written in 1964, something like that. We're in 2015 and we're still having these conversations and the city is still not responding.
So how much of this has to do with the lack of conscientiousness on the part of those in charge of public policy?
I think it has a little bit to do. I will say that first time this year I'm seeing a change. I'm seeing the city actually coming to us versus us coming to them at all times. And I keep telling them they need to do the first thing, which is the low-hanging fruit. Signage in City Hall in several languages, especially English, Spanish, and Vietnamese, which are your largest populations in the area, ought to have already been installed. I mean, not to mention signage in City Hall probably needs to be improved anyway. So just that simple change would make a huge difference, not only to my community, but to the way that our community interacts with city government. I can tell you, I go to City Hall, and I guarantee you every time I go, I will be stopped by a Latino family who's wandering in the hallway and doesn't have a clue where to go. And they may be wanting to pay a parking ticket or pay a tax fee or anything like that. And so it also affects the bottom line of City Hall and the city government, because then these people cannot participate fully.
This seems to be a very cumbersome issue. So how do you, in taking into account the difficulty of all of the various dynamics of having to matriculate being Hispanic, and also facing the issue of illegal documentation, and trying to gain access to affordable housing. How do you get to that? How do you get to affordable housing in the face of all these other obstacles?
It seems like an impossibility,
yes.
right? But it isn't, right? There are other cities in the country that have figured out how to do this and how to work with community leaders. And I think New Orleans is just a little behind in that because, you know, the Latino population, the growth within our area is new. Every segment of our community is adjusting to these changes, everything from education, healthcare, you name it. And so it will take some time. And that's why my job as ED of Puentes is to make sure that I'm always advocating that these changes, we're not trying to affect the way people live. We just want to make it an easier way for other folks who are new to the area to be able to fully participate.
So if I come to you as a new arrival,
yes,
City of New Orleans, looking for affordable housing, how would you help me?
So we have several partners where we can find out if there's any housing available. Undocumented residents are not eligible for any federal assistance, so that would never happen because that would actually be illegal. And then we also will advocate with you. We'll actually be your guide if you're looking for housing and you need to interact with a landlord and you don't know the language. We will actually be there with you in those situations. We've done it for folks who are looking for rentals, and we've done it for folks who are looking to purchase a home, because several of our members who are undocumented have a lot of liquidated assets because they don't have the ability to sort of invest in anything legally, but they can buy property if they have cash. And so as an organization, one of the things that we found out early on was that many of these people were becoming victims of theft and fraud. And many of the reasons because they don't understand the title system in the United States. You know, back, say, in Nicaragua, they would just hand over $10,000 to their neighbor, and now they're owner of that piece of land and that property or that building that might be on that land. In the United States, it's far more complicated. And so now we have partnerships with different title companies, different real estate agencies to help protect them. And then we even created a Plan B in case they are deported so that they can liquidate their assets.
So how does one get in touch with your organization?
They can call us. Our phone number is 504-821-7228. That is the best way to reach us, but we're also on the internet at puentesno.org, and we also are on Facebook, Puentes Latinola.
How much of a waiting time frame is there for somebody looking to get help from you?
We usually can return your phone call within a week. Yeah, you know, we one of my biggest missions in life is to make sure that our community members are treated with all the respect and dignity that they deserve. And so we are always on top of making sure that they are never left without some assistance. If we can't help them, we certainly can find out who can.
All right, Ms. Hernandez, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we're so grateful that you're here to handle the program for people who are sorely in need
Yes, they are.
of some assistance.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
good luck
Norman.
to you. You're very welcome. When we return, we will be joined by Catherine Medina, a representative of Harmony Neighborhood Development. Don't go far.
The following is another school of excellence from the First NBC Bank tuition auction. Located in the heart of Old Metairie is St. Catherine of Siena School. St. Catherine of Siena School has been educating families since 1926. St. Catherine of Siena School is accredited by AdvanceEd, a national accredited association, and is approved by the State of Louisiana Department of Education. With classes starting in pre-K 3 and continuing to 7th grade, the school's mission is to provide a community of faith that fosters academic excellence and a foundation for a Christ-centered life. Our faith is the foundation of our school family. Students are actively involved in weekly Mass and monthly prayer services. Our pastor and parochial vicar visit the classroom on a regular basis. The Early Childhood Department uses their professional knowledge and training and the child's natural, inquisitive, explorative, and creative nature to learn by doing. Students are immersed in a hands-on, rigorous, child-centered program. Our school day fosters a caring and nurturing environment which creates independent and self-confident learners. Teachers are able to develop personal relationships with each student through individual and small group instruction. In the elementary grades, the students work on mastering the skills necessary for success in the world in a collaborative setting. The teachers prepare the students for high school and beyond. Our goal is to foster an enriched learning environment while modeling best practices in the classroom, which leads to independent thinkers and doers. Our ideals center around the obligation of forming Catholic youth capable of assuming their religious, academic, social, and civic responsibilities. Each child is treated as a unique being with his or her own interests, abilities, and God-given talents. St. Catherine of Siena School offers art, music, band, physical education, and computer to augment the student's education outside of the traditional academic subjects. Our 2 full-time counselors offer classroom guidance lessons as well as individual support to students. Students have the opportunity to join extracurricular programs such as sports teams, robotics, quiz bowl, and others, as well as our after-school enrichment program, Gator Time. St. Catherine of Siena School has an enrollment of over 850 students, and the school is staffed with 82 faculty and staff members. Our parents' organizations, Mothers Co-op and Men's Club, are an integral part of our community. At St. Catherine of Siena School, your child is part of a strong Catholic family and is not recognized as just a student. We hope to have the opportunity to partner with you on your child's spiritual and educational journey. Our students are a living testament of St. Catherine's words, "From now on, Jesus, I will be your faithful servant."
Focused on the comprehensive revitalization of neighborhoods, Harmony's work includes blight elimination, high-quality home construction, home ownership services, and much more. Here to elaborate on the work they do is Catherine Medina, Harmony's Asset Building Director. Welcome, Ms. Medina.
Thank you for having me, Norman.
You're quite welcome. Now, tell me, from your perspective, how do you see affordable housing opportunities in the Metro New Orleans area?
Well, since the storm, especially since the storm, rental prices have gone to extreme heights. So many of our families are spending well over 50% of their income on rent or housing in general, or things that go towards housing. And what it does, it kind of keeps them from having the ability to do other things. Like, people would like to see families investing and saving and thinking about retirement or their children's education, but they're spending all of their funds on housing. So it has to be addressed here in New Orleans.
So how do you help people overcome those obstacles at Harmony?
So with Harmony, our approach has been affordable rental and the opportunity to actually own a home. Many people do not know that what you're paying in rent, which today a 2-bedroom could run you almost $1,200 a month.
That's a house note.
That's a house note, or less. Many of our families who purchase homes, their mortgage is between $750 to $850, but they're renting at $1,200 or higher. So what we do is we create a pathway to home ownership. We say, come to us. We don't care what you look like. If you're as bad as your credit may be, we don't turn anyone away. We educate about credit. We educate about finances and savings, and we create a clear path on getting to home ownership.
So you're the asset building manager.
Yes.
So what does that mean?
So I am the program director for our organization. So we were always interested in blight and elimination in New Orleans. So what we saw is that we were building homes, but it was hard to sell them because one, it was surrounded by blight. And two, many of the families that lived in the neighborhood did not believe those houses were for them. And so what we did and what I did is decided to create a program that would create a pathway. So yes, these houses are for you. Let me show you how you can get there. And not only that, it's beyond just being able to obtain a mortgage, but we also accessed soft second subsidies. So we worked with the City of New Orleans with their soft second program, with the Housing Authority of New Orleans as well, United Way's IDA program, which is an individual development account where they match a portion of your savings so that the home purchase would be affordable.
How is what you do so significant as it relates to the traditional route or traditional route to home ownership and affordable rentals?
Well, for us, we're an advocate for our families. So one, we go to the lenders that our clients may want to go to, and we ask them, what are your lending criteria? If there are certain issues, what would you want to overcome those issues? And so we end up going a little deeper to where if a client went directly to the lender, they may be declined and have no clue as to why they're declined. With us, we ask for everything a lender would ask for up front. We pull your credit and it's free. And we literally identify what those obstacles are before you get to the lender so you don't have to suffer the blow of a decline.
So how do you walk me through one of those processes?
So you would come in, we would literally ask for your bank statements, pay stubs, just all the background on your finances. And we will ask questions about how long you've been working, and we'll pull your credit. And as we look at those things, we'll see any things that pop out. So if you have bank statements with overdrafts on them, that tells us that there's not enough money right now to make ends meet. So let's talk about that. Why aren't the funds covering? And so sometimes it may be that they need to maximize their income, maybe looking at another job, things like that. Or sometimes it's just about monitoring how you spend and becoming disciplined with that. But what we do is we empower them to make those changes on their own. What do you think you can do? Or what little tweaks can you make? Some people make some small changes and really are able to accomplish the goal quickly. And then you have some people who are radical. So we have the family that was on public housing all their life and is legitimately low income. And what she did, it was a single mom of a daughter, and she said, I'm tired of living on public housing. So once we showed her what, this is how much money you'll need to have saved, she cut off everything. And when I say everything, I mean cable. She took off internet. She went and got a free phone because she was already receiving certain benefits. But then she shared that information with her daughter. Look, it's not about wants, it's about needs right now because we want to buy a house. And now she's in her home. It took her about a year, but she's in her home. Her rent is below her mortgage is below $700.
Wow.
And she was able to create a savings on top of what she invested, over $3,000. So in even going back to see her, she's continuing to save.
So you're not only looking at moving people into affordable housing, you're getting people to the point of being able to manage their finances more efficiently.
Yes, yes. So it's all about understanding where you are, the resources that you have, and how do you make those resources stretch. And it's not just about the income that you're bringing in. Who's your network? You know, your family, and how can you work together to reach goals together?
So we're talking about a cultural reformation,
Yes.
a reshaping of a cultural way of looking at things, and especially a cultural way of living.
Yes.
And how much of a challenge is that?
It's a challenge. Even for myself, I thought once you had bad credit, that was it. No one taught me differently until I got acquainted with organizations like Make It Right and like the organization that I work for now, to realize that you can get beyond your current circumstances. But it does take a mind change. You have to want it first, and then you have to be educated in whatever area you're trying to move in. And then you need to tap into your resources. And again, that could be your network or the many wonderful organizations in New Orleans that are trying to assist families with resources.
So there are resources available, people just don't know about them.
Yes,
So
yes.
specifically Harmony Neighborhood Development.
Yes.
How does one become more knowledgeable about your organization?
Well, they can always call us. We are at 504-524-3919, or they can come to our office at 3301 LaSalle Street. We also have a website, harmonynola.org, and we are on Facebook.
And what do you do initially when somebody contacts you?
We try to get an idea of where they are. You know, what's your goal? What information can I help you with? And then we try to guide them from there. We have some, but we really try hard to bring people in so we can have a sit down and talk with them. You want a
face-to-face
interaction. We really try to do that because people are very skeptical when they're on the phone, but when they're in person, we can really dig deep. Some families that I've had in front of me, they're in crisis mode. So homeownership may not be the current goal. That's the big goal. Let's talk about what's in front of us, and that's getting you stable. So then we get them connected to resources that will help them get to a stable place. And then we check in with them every 45 days.
All right, Ms. Medina, it's been a pleasure having you here, and it's encouraging knowing that you're out there to help people become affordable homeowners, finding a place to rent that's within their means, and certainly learning to manage their finances overall.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. All right, we will be back to close things out when we return.
Nightly Business Report. A new team, new editorial resources around the globe.
Chaos here continues.
The same objective, insightful analysis of the top business news of the day.
For the Nightly Business Report, I'm John Ford.
Every weeknight, a half-hour wrap-up of complete market coverage.
With the business and economic stories that are crucial to you.
Television's longest-running business program.
Nightly Business Report.
Weeknights at 5:30 p.m. on WLAE.
We would like to thank Puentes, New Orleans and Harmony Neighborhood Development for joining us this evening. And remember, for more information on our guests on this show and others, please visit us at WLAE.com and click on the Affordable Housing Matters link. There you can get in contact with every guest we've had on our program. Also, tell us what you want to see on Affordable Housing Matters by emailing us at ahm@WLAE.com. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Norman Robinson. Have a good night.